I'm your man, and I need you to know this clearly, not just in moments when everything feels easy between us, but especially in moments when things feel heavy, complicated, and uncertain, because loving you to me has never been about convenience, it has been about commitment, and when I say I'm not walking away from us, babe, I mean I have already seen the imperfect parts, the messy emotions, the misunderstandings, the moments when words fail and silence grows, and I still choose to stay. Because what we have is not something I'm willing to abandon the moment it requires effort, and I know there will be days when you feel tired of explaining yourself, days when you question whether you are too much or not enough. Days when fear whispers that everyone eventually leaves, but I want my presence to be the answer to that fear, not just my words, because love that only promises but doesn't stay is not love at all, and when I tell you I'm your man, I mean I'm here in the uncomfortable conversations, in the late nights when emotions spill over, in the moments when you don't have the strength to be soft. Because I understand that love is not always gentle, sometimes it's raw, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's just choosing not to walk away when everything inside you feels overwhelmed, and I choose you even then, because I don't love the idea of you, I love the reality of you, the version that struggles. The version that overthinks, the version that feels deeply and sometimes doesn't know how to express it, and when I say I'm not walking away from us, babe, I mean I'm not afraid of the work it takes to love you properly, I'm not afraid of learning your triggers, your fears, your boundaries, because understanding you matters to me more than protecting my ego, and I know I won't always get it right, I know I'll make mistakes, say the wrong things, misunderstand your silence, but my love for you means I won't disappear when I fail, I'll come back, I'll listen, I'll own my part, because real love is not proven by perfection, it's proven by repair, and I want to be someone who repairs. Not someone who runs, and babe, I need you to know that I don't see our arguments as signs that we're breaking, I see them as signs that we care enough to fight for understanding, because the opposite of love isn't anger, it's indifference, and I have never been indifferent about you, about us, about what we are building together, and when life tests us with distance, stress, outside noise, and internal doubts, I will not let those things define us, because I believe that what we have deserves patience, deserves effort, deserves time, and when I say I'm your man, I mean I'm choosing loyalty not just when it's easy, but when it's tempting to escape, when it's tempting to shut down. When it's tempting to choose comfort over commitment, because love like ours is not something you replace, it's something you protect, and babe, I will not use your vulnerabilities against you, I will not make you feel weak for feeling deeply, because I know that the parts of you that feel the most are also the parts that love the hardest, and I want to be a safe place for that love, not a reason for you to hide it, and when you doubt yourself, when you question your worth, I want my consistency to remind you that you don't have to earn love by being perfect, you are loved because you are you, and I choose you with awareness, knowing that there will be hard days, knowing that love requires patience. Knowing that growth sometimes hurts, but also knowing that walking away would cost far more than staying, because what we are building is deeper than momentary discomfort, and babe, I'm not walking away from us because I believe in the future we are slowly creating, not a fairy tale future, but a real one, built on communication, forgiveness, shared responsibility, quiet mornings, tired evenings, and the comfort of knowing that someone is choosing you even when life feels overwhelming. And when I imagine the days ahead, I don't imagine perfection, I imagine effort. I imagine us learning each other again and again as we change, as we grow, as life shapes us, and I am willing to grow with you. Not ahead of you, not away from you, but with you, side by side, because being your man means being present, being accountable, being patient, and being brave enough to stay when staying matters most. And babe, I'm not walking away from us because what we have is not built on impulse, it's built on intention, and intention doesn't disappear when things get hard, it shows up stronger, and even if there are moments when you feel unsure, when fear tells you that love doesn't last, I want you to look at me and see someone who is still here, still choosing, still committed, because my love for you is not something I say lightly, it's something I live, something I prove, something I protect. And when I say I'm your man, I mean I am standing right here, not going anywhere, holding us together with patience, honesty, and a quiet promise that no matter how heavy things feel, I am not walking away from you, I am not walking away from us, babe. And babe, I want you to understand that staying is not something I do because I'm afraid of losing you, it's something I do because I know the value of what we have. Because I recognize the rare kind of connection that doesn't come often, the kind that challenges you, grounds you, and makes you look at yourself honestly, and loving you has done all of that for me. It has made me more aware, more patient, more intentional, and when I say I'm not walking away from us, I mean I am willing to sit in discomfort if it means protecting what we're building. I am willing to slow down when emotions run high. I am willing to listen when your words come out tangled, because I know that sometimes pain doesn't speak clearly, and loving you means listening beyond tone, beyond reaction, beyond the surface, and babe, I will not minimize what you feel just because I don't fully understand it yet. I will try to understand, again and again, because love that lasts is curious, not dismissive, and there will be days when the weight of life presses hard on both of us, when exhaustion makes us less gentle, when stress turns into distance, but even then, my commitment doesn't waver. Because I don't see love as something that disappears when circumstances change, I see it as something that adapts, something that learns how to breathe even under pressure. And babe, I'm not walking away from us because I believe that what we're creating is bigger than temporary emotions, bigger than passing doubts, bigger than the fear that tries to convince us that leaving is easier than staying, because easy doesn't always mean right. And I would rather choose something real and difficult than something shallow and safe. And when you feel like you're too much, when you worry that your emotions are overwhelming, I want you to remember that I'm not intimidated by your depth, I respect it. Because depth means you feel, you care, you invest, and that is not something I want you to suppress for my comfort, it's something I want to protect. And babe, I'm not walking away from us because I see the future in small moments, in the way we learn each other's habits, in the way we soften after arguments, in the way silence eventually turns into understanding, and I know that trust isn't built overnight. It's built through consistency, through showing up when it matters, through being the same person in hard moments as in good ones, and I am committed to being that person for you. And when doubts creep into your mind late at night, when you question whether love like this can really last, I want my actions to answer you before my words ever have to, because love that stays speaks for itself, and babe, I will not disappear when you need reassurance, I will not retreat when things get emotional, because being your man means being emotionally present, not just physically there, and I know that sometimes loving me will also be hard, sometimes my flaws will surface, sometimes my mistakes will hurt. But I promise I will never make you feel like your pain is inconvenient, because loving you means taking responsibility for the impact I have on your heart, and when I say I'm not walking away from us, I mean I'm choosing growth, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it asks me to confront my own patterns. Because love that refuses to grow eventually fades, and I refuse to let that happen to us, and babe, I want you to know that I don't measure love by how intense it feels in the beginning, I measure it by how steady it remains over time, and my steadiness with you is intentional, it's a decision I make every day, and even if the world tries to pull us apart with noise, opinions, distractions, and doubts, I will keep choosing the quiet truth of what we have, because real love doesn't need to be loud to be strong, and when I say I'm your man, I mean I am choosing loyalty, patience, honesty, and effort, not as a one-time promise, but as a daily practice, and babe, I'm not walking away from us because I believe that what we're building deserves the kind of love that stays. That listens, that learns, that grows, and no matter how many times life tests us, I will remain right here, choosing you, choosing us, again and again. And babe, even when the world feels heavy on your shoulders and you start wondering if anyone can truly stay without getting tired, I want you to feel my presence in the quiet moments, not as pressure, not as expectation, but as certainty. Because loving you has taught me that love isn't about grand gestures that fade with time, it's about endurance, about showing up in ordinary days and still choosing each other when nothing dramatic is happening, and I'm not walking away from us because I've learned that the deepest bonds are built in those quiet spaces where commitment whispers instead of shouts. And when you're scared to open up because past wounds taught you that vulnerability leads to abandonment, I want my consistency to rewrite that story for you, slowly, gently, without forcing anything, because I understand that trust grows at its own pace, and I'm patient enough to wait, to prove, to stay, and babe, I don't love you with conditions that change when you're struggling, I love you with understanding that grows when things get hard. Because real love doesn't ask you to be less, it asks you to be real, and I want you real with me, even when you're messy, even when you're unsure, even when you don't have the words, and I'm not walking away from us because I know that relationships aren't built on avoiding pain. They're built on learning how to heal together. And every time we choose communication over silence, every time we choose empathy over ego, we add another layer of strength to what we're building. And babe, I want to be someone you can lean on without fear of falling, someone whose presence calms rather than confuses, someone who doesn't threaten to leave when emotions run deep. because being your man means being emotionally available, not just committed in name, and I know there will be moments when we both feel lost, when life pulls us in different directions, when exhaustion makes us question everything, but even then, my love doesn't disappear, it adapts, it softens, it learns how to hold on without holding too tight. And babe, I'm not walking away from us because I believe in love that matures, love that evolves, love that understands that passion may fluctuate but commitment remains steady, and when the excitement settles into familiarity, I won't confuse that with loss, I'll recognize it as growth, as the foundation of something lasting. And I want you to know that my love for you isn't built on fear of loneliness, it's built on choice, on clarity, on the decision to invest in something meaningful even when it requires patience. And babe, I'm here for the long run, not just the highlight moments, but the everyday ones, the imperfect ones, the healing ones, because those are the moments that truly define a relationship. And when I say I'm not walking away from us, I mean I'm choosing forgiveness over resentment, understanding over assumption, and effort over escape, because what we share deserves that level of care, and even if there are times when words fall short and emotions feel overwhelming, I want you to remember that my love is not fragile, it doesn't break under pressure, it grows stronger through honesty, through time, through shared experience. And babe, being your man means standing with you through change, through uncertainty, through growth, without making you feel like you have to earn my love by being perfect, because you are already enough for me in your becoming, and as long as we keep choosing each other, keep communicating, keep believing in what we're building, I will remain right here, grounded, committed, and certain, because I'm your man, and I'm not walking away from us, not now, not when things get hard, not when fear tries to speak louder than love, but staying, choosing, and loving you in the way that lasts.